would like to recognize the senior team. As I call your name, please stand up, face the audience, and be recognized. Not all are present today. Obviously, the university has to keep running, even as we are here. So, let me recognize Mr. Philip Stanley, our Registrar and Director of Operations. Please stand up. Yeah. Now, in the true spirit of being multidisciplinary, even some of our administrative leaders are multidisciplinary. Mr. Stanley has a decorated career in the Indian Army. I sometimes tease him because he was an instructor in the military police. And so students, behave yourself, But he's also been a paratrooper, and he loves to take students for outdoor adventures. And so I know that some of the students are keen. We assure the parents that we will watch out for safety, but the outdoors are very important, part of a healthy upbringing and a healthy life. And I think you'll find in Mr. Stanley a different side of what you would consider a typical registrar or even military police. Mr. Amit Tripathi is our Chief Financial Officer. He is not here today, I believe. Okay, and you've probably had to deal with his department, making your payments. We have, standing up in the back, Ms. Gunjan Dung, who is our Director of Human Resources. We have in the front Mr. Vijay. Could you stand up? And so you'll find him usually in a container office on the main campus, day and night, trying to keep the construction moving. And last but not least, let me recognize Mr. Sanjeev Shekhar, who most of you know. Acted with you and your families, and he and his team. And that's why we're all here today. It's often said that the students are the heart and soul of a university, the faculty are the brains. Now, as a cognitive neuroscientist, I don't like those metaphors because I know that even what we call the heart is really processed in the brain. Obviously, you have to do your part. They are not going to be able to mold you without you putting in that effort. And I think you'll find, starting immediately in the first semester, for students in all schools, this is not the kind of place where you can just bunk classes and say, okay, I'll mug up last minute before the exams. Okay, I too have been guilty of that. I went to college in India for 1 year, St. Xavier's College in Bombay, and that's partly why I got out, because students were doing just that. There was this attitude, all you needed was your final exams. Our faculty will engage you. You need to be present. You need to be prepared. The education is a continuous process. It's not. There's a lot of research from my field, cognitive neuroscience, that really questions the historical model, probably everywhere in the world, that India inherited from our colonial masters, of having that final exam where you put that stamp and it stays with you for the rest of your life. Guess what? Now there's a vast amount of research. A vast number of the majority of those who have done well on these standardized exams, be they board exams in high school or final exams for different years in college, a vast majority remember almost nothing within a few years. The only exceptions are those who go on to be academics, whose learning is cumulative, or those who stay as practitioners in that field. But we know now everywhere in the world, including in India, that in the engineering disciplines and in the arts and sciences disciplines, most people do not end up practicing in the field of their degree. Okay? Now that should be a wake-up call for those of us who are educators, but institutions are slow to change. Very few mechanical engineering, BTech, are actually practicing mechanical engineering beyond a couple of years. In fact, very few computer science BTech students are practicing computer science beyond their first few years. And now there's a consensus of those of us in higher education that your generation, I don't know what generation you are, I'm talking about the students. I think Generation Z is already in college. I don't know, what are you going to be, AA or something like that? You will be switching careers 2 to 3 times during your working life, whether you like it or not. Okay? For those of you who are looking for coding jobs, Python is the big language, and yes, please become great Python coders. My own view, and I don't know if our IT entrepreneur leader here agrees, in 15 or 20 years, if you mention Python to somebody, they'll say, "You mean the snake?" It's simply inconceivable that that will still be the prevalent language. Okay? When I grew up, my father taught me Fortran when I was a kid. Okay? Fortran is gone. Okay? Then there was this, then there was that. So even though there's all of this buzz about coding, yes, please become great coders, but you have to become good thinkers, critical thinkers, analytical thinkers, learn how to communicate, learn how to converse with people outside of your field, because once you get into the working world or the academic world or the professional world, you are going to have to draw upon a lot more than just what was on your exam. Our faculty, every single one, manifests that broad band intellect. Obviously, they're experts in what they teach and in their area of research. Otherwise, we would not have hired them. And obviously, if there are students who want to do a deep dive in a field, our faculty are there to guide them. But they also have the broadband, not just the speed of processing, but the broadband where they can interact with each other. And I've seen that, where a faculty member whose research is on machine learning and computer science interacts with faculty members in literature. And they have genuine respect for each other, even though their training is distinct. The students see that. I come from the academic world, so I grew up in those silos of this department and that department, and departments are like tribes. And they want to separate themselves. But the students see the connections more sometimes than we do, and we want to encourage you to make those connections, because in the new economy, the economy of the future, the new jobs are not going to be like the old jobs. I think most people agree on that. We don't know what the new jobs are going to be. So the new jobs are going to be based on new ideas, new concepts, new inventions, new social organizational systems, new products, new services, new ways of thinking. And that's the kind of person we want to create, somebody who can reinvent themselves many times throughout their lives. So the days of getting that one job, good first job at a big company, okay, I'm all set now, I'll spend my life in the company, then I'll retire and I'll get the pension, gone with the wind. Do you disagree? Emily? Do you agree that those days are gone where you get your first job and you retire with that company? That's okay. The echo, I think, makes it difficult.
Can I talk to the mic? Yes. I stayed in one career, but I changed my avatars. First, I was started as a programmer, which is perhaps the most famous or most hated word, and then, of course, I transformed to an entrepreneur.
What language did you program?
Oh, I did 4 or 5 languages at least. I started with C, AutoShare, then I started with C++. I forget now, those names don't even exist except the C++. And I can assure you, I started with the early computers, which were punch cards, which don't exist. Then we used floppy disks, which they don't exist. Then we used CD-ROMs, which they don't exist. We all gone to silicon memories. We used multi-process systems, which of course exist, but the processor, those multi-process systems are slower than a single processor of today. But then, of course, from there, of course, changed my career to social entrepreneurship and, of course, now to higher education. So my avatar has changed, but my discipline is computer science. Thank you.
That is a form of multidisciplinarity and reinventing oneself. So let me ask each faculty member in turn, starting with the right. I'll actually introduce myself first, because even though I have this title of founding vice chancellor, in my heart I am a professor, I'm a teacher, I'm an educator. And when first time I was asked as a faculty in my career, as a faculty member, do you want to become an administrator? This was in 1997. I was asked to be associate dean at Dartmouth College, which in the United States, if a faculty member is asked, would you like to become a dean or a provost, it's called going over to the dark side. So they said, you're going to become brain dead. You're going to become one of those talking head bureaucrats. And I said, if you ever find me becoming a bureaucrat or losing my interest in ideas, in learning, in genuine learning and research, then please grab me, tell me, and I want to know. So the faculty provide that energy, intellectual energy. As a scholar, my own background is I got an undergraduate liberal arts degree at Vassar College in the United States. I majored in what was called biopsychology. I was interested in the brain, but I was also interested in the mind, and I'm thinking, what is the brain, what is the mind? And so I've always been interested in how do you make sense of those two concepts, and today that field is called cognitive neuroscience. I was also very interested in music in a very serious way, and in India I was told you have to drop that, so I said bye, going. And I was able to keep up with that, and later on in my career, combine them by doing functional MRI research on how the brain responds to music. And so when students come with these diverse, hitherto unconnected interests, I want to encourage them, because someday you will find a way to connect those, and that will enable you to combine one of your passions with your sort of official training. Then I got a master's degree at Yale University and a PhD at Harvard, and then most of my career I was a faculty member at Dartmouth, and then I became the dean, and then moved to Tufts University as the provost and senior vice president, but also remained a faculty member, and I continued to do some teaching and research. And I wanted to set an example for being multidisciplinary, and I was a professor in the Department of Psychology, in the medical school's Department of Neuroscience, and in the Department of Music. So it is possible. Now, so the question when somebody enters the dark side is, can you ever come out? So I'll leave that for the faculty to judge.